There should be some numbers there. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. Welcome to welcome to today's reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are continuing where we left off last week, and that's we are at chapter 30 of the third canto, and we stopped at verse 9. Chapter is entitled Description by Lord Kapila of Adverse Fruitive Activities. Just before that, we recite glorification verses. It's 339. 339. So must be somewhere near the bookmark. A bit further because we didn't use books.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, we'll see anyway.
Yeah. Sarva Shastra Abdi Piyusha, Sarva Vedaika Satvala, Sarva Siddhantna Ratnadya, Sarva Lokaika Drikprada, Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu, Kalidvanto Ditaditya, Shri Krishna Parivartita, Paramananda Patnaya, Prema Vakshaksharayate, Sarvanda Sarva Sevyaya, Shri Krishna Namostame, Madhika Bandho Mat Sangin, Mad Guru Mat Mahadana, Man Nishtaraka Mat Bhagya, Madananda Namostate, Asadu Sadutadai Natine Chochataraka Hanamuncha Kadachin Mam Premna Hrit Kantayos Puram. Translation. This is Mahima Stotra. Okay. This is Mahima Stotra. It's there on this paper. This is Sanatana Goswami's glorification verses. This is we read or we recite before we start reciting Bhagavatam. Translation. All nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all of the worlds. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Lionel, is it the right canto you hold? You see your...
Canto part 2.
3-2, yeah. Third canto part 2.
Okay. Chapter.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So we're continuing reading from the Canto 3, Chapter 30. 30. Description by Lord Kapila of adverse fruitive activities. So, everyone found the page? You can find. Where?
I don't know what I'm looking for.
Chapter 30. Chapter
Oh, yeah.
Chapter.
It was. No, this was. We were getting towards the 30. Yeah, that's the page.
Chapter 2.
It's page 680. Same in your book.
618.
680.
80, sorry.
Yeah.
80, sorry. 80.
Okay, you there? We'll wait. You need some light. Yeah. It's enough for you? It's okay for you? I don't know. I'm okay. I have second one.
Actually, this is nice. This is good, actually.
Yeah? I can see better. Okay, good. We all now on the same page. So, text 9. So it's still where we are. Lord Kapila Devi still speaks to his mother. There are a few chapters like this here at the end of third canto. So translation. The attached householder remains in his family life, which is full of diplomacy and politics, always spreading miseries and controlled by acts of sense gratification. He acts just to counteract the reactions of all his miseries. And if he can successfully counteract such miseries, he thinks that he is happy. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead himself certifies the material world as an impermanent place that is full of miseries. There is no question of happiness in this material world, either individually or in terms of family, society, or country. If something is going on in the name of happiness, that is also illusion. Here in this material world, happiness means a successful counteraction to the effects of distress. The material world is so made that unless one becomes very dependent, his life will be a failure. Not to speak of human society, even the society of lower animals, the birds and bees, cleverly manages its bodily demands of eating, sleeping, and mating. Human society competes nationally or individually, and in the attempt to be successful, the entire human society becomes full of diplomacy. We should always remember that in spite of our diplomacy and all intelligence in the struggle for our existence, everything will end in a second by the supreme will. Therefore, all our attempts to become happy in this material world are simply a delusion offered by Maya. So here we go. Text 10. He secures money by committing violence here and there, and although he employs it in the service of his family, he himself eats only a little portion of the food thus purchased, and he goes to hell for those for whom he earned the money in such an irregular way. Purport. There is a Bengali proverb: the person for whom I have stolen accuses me of being a thief. The family members for whom an attached person acts in so many criminal ways are never satisfied. In illusion, an attached person serves such family members, and by serving them he is destined to enter into a hellish condition of life. For example, a thief steals something to maintain his family, and he is caught and imprisoned. This is the sum and substance of material existence, and attachment to material society, friendship, and love. Although an attached family man is always engaged in getting money by hook or by crook for the maintenance of his family, he cannot enjoy more than what he could consume even without such criminal activities. A man who eats 8 ounces of foodstuffs may have to maintain a big family and earn money by any means to support that family. But he himself is not offered more than what he can eat, and sometimes he eats the rest left after his family members are fed. Even by earning money he cannot enjoy life for himself. That is called the covering illusion of Maya. The process of illusory service to society, country, and community is exactly the same everywhere. The same principle is applicable even to big national leaders. A national leader who is very great in serving his country is sometimes killed by his countrymen because of irregular service. In other words, one cannot satisfy his dependents by this illusory service, although one cannot get out of the service because servant is his constitutional position. A living entity is constitutionally part and parcel of the Supreme Being, but he forgets that he has to render service to the Supreme Being and diverts his attention to serving others. This is called Maya. By serving others, he falsely thinks that he is master, the head of himself as the master of the family, or the leader of a nation thinks of himself as the master of the nation, whereas actually he is serving, and by serving Maya he is gradually going to hell. Therefore, a sane man should come to the point of Krishna consciousness and engage in the service of the Supreme Lord, applying his whole life, all his wealth, his entire intelligence, and his full power of speaking. Text 11. When he suffers reverses in his occupation, he tries again and again to improve himself. But when he is baffled in all attempts and is ruined, he accepts money from others because of excessive greed. Text 12. Thus the unfortunate man, unsuccessfully in maintaining his family members, is bereft of all beauty. He always thinks of his failure, grieving very deeply. Mudadihi. Text 13. Seeing him unable to support them, his wife and others do not treat him with the same respect as before, even as miserly farmers do not accord the same treatment to their old and worn-out oxen. Purport. Not only in the present age, but from time immemorial, no one has liked an old man who is unable to earn in the family. Even in the modern age, in some communities or states, the old men are given poison so that they will die as soon as possible. In some cannibalistic communities, the old grandfather is sportingly killed and a feast is held in which his body is eaten. Oh, that's gross, yeah. The example is given that a farmer does not like an old bull who has ceased to work. Similarly, when an attached person in family life becomes old and is unable to earn, he is no longer liked by his wife, sons, daughters, and other kinsmen, and he is consequently neglected, what to speak of not being given respect. It is judicious, therefore, to give up family attachment before one attains old age and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should employ himself in the Lord's service to that the Supreme Lord can take charge of him, and he will not be neglected by his so-called kinsmen. Yeah, we know what nowadays the old men, what's their destiny, where they end up in homes of, how they called, retirement homes, these kind of homes. They're not really nice, I assume. I mean, I haven't visited men lately, but just the fact that they're not visited, they are taken care by some nurses and stuff there, and the family in majority, I guess majority, I could say majority, kind of leaves them there. I mean, some are lucky or some, but it just kind of adds to this purport here. What happened? Okay, let's go on. I think continue reading text 14. The foolish family man does not become averse to family life, although he is maintained by those whom he once maintained. Deformed by the influence of old age, he prepares himself to meet ultimate death. Purport. Family attraction is so strong that even if one is neglected by family members in his old age, he cannot give up family affection, and he remains at home just like a dog. In the Vedic way of life, one has to give up family life when he is strong enough. It is advised that before getting too and before becoming diseased, one should give up life and engage oneself completely in the service of the remaining days of his life. It is enjoined, therefore, in the Vedic scriptures that as soon as one passes 50 years of age, he must give up family life and live alone in the forest. After preparing himself fully, he should become a sannyasi to distribute the knowledge of spiritual life to each and every home. Text 15. Thus he remains at home just like a pet dog and eats whatever is so negligently given to him. Afflicted with many illnesses such as dyspepsia, dyspepsia, and loss of appetite, he eats only very small morsels of food, and he becomes an invalid who cannot work anymore. Purport. Before meeting death, one is sure to become a diseased invalid, and when he is neglected by his family members, his life becomes less than a dog's because he is put into so many miserable conditions. Vedic literatures enjoin, therefore, that before the arrival of such miserable conditions, one should leave home and die without the knowledge of his family members. If a man leaves home and dies without his family's knowing, that is considered to be a glorious death. But an attached family man wants his family members to carry him in a great procession even after his death, and although he will not be able to see how the procession goes, he still desires that his body be taken gorgeously in procession. Thus he is happy without even knowing where he has to go when he leaves his body for the next life. 16. In that condition, one's eyes bulge due to the pressure of air from within, and his glands become congested with mucus. He has difficulty breathing, and upon exhaling and inhaling, he produces a sound like gura gura, a rattling within the throat. Gura gura. Let's take 17. There's some intense verses here.
Yes.
So yeah, so I hope we'll get to the end, to the happy ending. So anyway, this is text 17. He comes under the clutches of death and lies down, surrounded by lamenting friends and relatives, and although he wants to speak with them, he no longer can, because he's under the control of time. Purport. For formality's sake, when a man is lying on his deathbed, his relatives come to him, and sometimes they cry very loudly, addressing the dying man, "Oh my father, oh my friend," or "Oh my husband." Sorry, I'm not, let's say so dramatic. In that pitiable condition, the dying man wants to speak with them and instruct them of his desires, but because he is fully under the control of the time factor, death, he cannot express himself, and that causes him inconceivable pain. He is already in a painful condition because of disease, and his glands and throat are choked up with mucus. He is already in a very difficult position, and when he is addressed by his relatives in that way, his grief increases. 18. Thus the old man who engages with uncontrolled senses in maintaining a family dies in great grief, seeing his relatives crying. He dies most pathetically, in great pain and without consciousness. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita it is said that at the time of death, one will be absorbed in the thoughts which he cultivated during his lifetime. A person who had no other idea than to properly maintain his family members must have family affairs in his last thoughts. That is the natural sequence for common man. The common man does not know the destiny of his life. He is simply busy in his flash of life, maintaining family. At the last stage, no one is satisfied with how he has improved the family economic condition. Everyone thinks that he could not provide sufficiently. Because of his deep family affection, he forgets his main duty of